Okay, here we are. Start of the next day, whatever the count is. All right, the first thing I think I'm going to do is this thing I put in, that big patch, that big ugly screwed up patch. I'm going to cut that out. And I'm going to do that all over again. I'm really unhappy with the way that turned out. And I need to try that again. Actually, before I do any of that, I'm going to straighten up the chaos. Let's do that. Okay. Now we have a clean workspace. All the tools are in one place. We can focus on the job. The job today is going to be remove crappy patch panel. Pull the dents out again, make sure everything is nice and smooth and straight and as much as possible. And let's try to do that patch again, but better, right? Yeah, let's do that. Let's get started. All right, let's take a quick assessment of where we are. So the patch, the old first patch is cut out. I cut out a new patch. I thought about, hey, do I want to just straighten this out? But then that metal is hardened and, banged up, and I pulled on it and stretched it, and let me just get some new metal. So I got the new metal in. I'm following my advice this time where I weld and I use a wet cloth and I cool the weld down as quickly as I can. And the idea is that it's going to keep it from shrinking too much when the heat spreads out and then it cools down. All of that shrinks in and ends up causing a This causing the patch to basically get pulled and flattened out, because there's a very just super slight bend here. I don't even know if you can see it in the camera, but it's very, very slight. This right here is actually flattened slightly, because this in the middle, so probably, but compared to the other one, you can still see the bend down here, the curve, but this curve is kind of flattened out. So what I'm gonna do is, before I get welding, I'm gonna try and get this all where I want it by pulling on it without going crazy. I don't want to pull on it and create a dimple. See if I can figure out how to do this. Okay, I pulled on this a little bit and I got it way closer to what I'm wanting. So I'm gonna start welding this up. I'm gonna go way slower this time, and hopefully I can manage the heat and see if it goes any better this time. Okay, we're making some headway, but man, is this slow. But it's working. You see the panel is still just like it was. So it's just slow going, man. This is the trick. Keep the heat out of the metal. As soon as you weld it, dab it with the like a cotton cloth and move on. Okay, this is not a full day here, but I still want to document it. All right, so let's talk about what transpired today. So I cut out that big patch. Got a new piece of metal, brand new metal. And I tried a new method where I weld and cool it as soon as I weld, and moved around and so on and so forth. So that was working pretty good. And then at some point I got a ripple here, right at this weld here. It just sort of pulled itself in, so both of these are coming in. So I thought, okay, well, let me pull on it, but I don't want to pull on the metal. I'm going to pull on the weld, which did work pretty good actually. But when you pull on this, you create stresses in different places. So I got a dimple over here and a bit of a ripple over here. So I pulled on that, stretched on that, pulled on that, stretched on that, and I got this pretty close. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm wrapping up for today, but when I get back, I'm going to, cut all those little unit spotter nails off, and sand this down or grind it down, and then I still got to figure out if I could even weld up these holes. Right? So, I mean, all this might be a giant waste of time if I have no way to weld those holes. And I don't know, maybe somebody can tell me. Like, is there... Do I need to just... You know... Do I need to just cut this off, fix it, and put it back on, or cut it off, put on a new nose on this thing? Or what? Advice would be appreciated. Because right now, my concern is, I'm not so concerned about the tiny little waves and dimples in it, because at the end of the day, I'm going to need to skim coat. I'm going to epoxy coat the whole thing anyway. When I epoxy coat it, then I'll skim it, and then I'm going to block it. So my shape will come out with, you know, a very fine body filler and then a block sanding. But as far as getting these holes done, what's the best way to do that? I really do not want to have to cut any of this and weld in a patch, because I think there's so many stresses in this thing. It's just going to end up looking like, you know, a piece of wavy pasta. Anyway, that is where I am at for today, the end of today. If you have any advice for me, please do share it. I've never had a problem. I've welded lots of patches before, but I've never not been able to get behind it. And I can't do that here. So, yeah, anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks. Later.